Coach, this matchup just seems like both teams kind of have the same goals down the final stretch of the season, finishing on a high note, looking ahead to next year. What kind of matchup do you expect?
I probably most focused on ourselves, making sure that we build off the I'd say the urgency and the sacrifice we played with over the last couple of games. And part of that was we got good goaltending. But I thought we did a good job of raising that level of sacrifice back to what it had been through the majority part of the season until we kind of fell out of it. You got to play games with that level of urgency, with that level of sacrifice. So, I'm not sure yet. When I've watched them, they've played good hockey, so I'm sure they'll play good hockey. We got to make sure that we're playing with that high level of sacrifice.
And just the energy level. I know you talk about this a lot, but something they've talked about a lot too in their media availability, just making sure they bring the energy. How do you match that?
I hope they're matching ours, and hopefully you bring your great energy, especially in our building, and that forces them to match ours. So as we've talked about lots, we've all got lots to play for different reasons. We got to make sure we come with that high level of energy. Yep.
Carly Johnson.
How much of a difference do you notice in the gameplay when the team has confidence coming off of full wins?
Well, confidence matters a lot. Ultimately, I think you get over the puck, you make better plays with the puck. You're not slapping it around. You can handle tougher situations better. Now, confidence is one of those things that can be fleeting, and it can come and go, and you got to constantly earn it by playing the right way. I think when we play the right way, we give ourselves confidence to perform in the game.
What's the difference that you see in games like we saw last week with back-to-back wins and back-to-back games? What's the difference you see in games like that versus games where the guys just kind of seem to fall flat?
I don't know if it's always that they fell flat, to be honest with you. I think again, some of that's momentum in games, and are you able to one of the important things that happened against Boston was we got down 2-0, but we got a lot of saves at that point to keep it at 2-0, and that's something that I think is really important. When you go down 3 or 4, it just becomes a tougher hill to climb, and it's hard mentally at that point. So, I thought in order to win this league, you have good goaltending. We got good goaltending. And then I did think we raised our sacrifice level throughout those 2 games. I think a number of our young players kind of raised their game up a level as well.
Thank you.
Yep.
Kevin Allen.
Yeah, Jeff. Obviously, you've had a little bit of time now to look at Wallman, and it's pretty clear he's got the offensive capabilities. But I wonder what he needs to do in order to become that consistent player that gives him regular playing time.
Yeah, it's a good question. He's still trying to establish himself as a regular NHL defenseman. He's in that kind of that I guess area or time period of his career where it's really important that he finds a way to establish himself. And he's got a really good shot and he can skate, and he's got those 2 things for sure that are really good attributes to have. I think it's a matter of making sure that he manages his game, that he takes what's given. There's times where simple is good. And he's got, when sometimes we have that ability to do some stuff, you try to do more than you should in certain situations. And I just think it's that management of the game that's going to be critical for him. And then just continuing to learn how to grind through long shifts and making sure that he's playing, the 40th second of a shift with the same focus as the first and second of a shift. And those are areas that I think if he can improve that, he can do a real good job. I think overall he's done a pretty good job for us so far. It's obviously been a small sample size, but I think if he can again manage that game, you can really use his attributes.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yep.
Trevor Thompson.
It's obviously been a long road back for Mitchell Stevens, but how important was it to get back into games before the season ended?
Yeah, I think it's important, certainly important for his mindset. You want to play, and you don't want the year to be wasted. And I think the more games you play, the better. And he's been working really hard, and I think he would have liked to have been back 2 weeks ago, to be honest with you, but it's just not the way the injury worked out. So I think it's great that he's been able to work himself into a spot where he gets back in the lineup.
Thanks, Blash.
Yep.
Ted Colton.
Hey, Jeff, how have you liked Suter between Zadina and Vrana? I mean, I remember a couple games ago, I think you seemed to think he really did a nice job defensively or whatnot, but how's his game been like since he made that switch?
So far, real good. You know, I think Suits over the last couple of weeks has played actually real good hockey. I think he's raised his game. There's been some nights where he had him matching against the other team's best, and he's done a good job of that. But what this does is if we can use other people to match, then it frees him up a little bit. Again, he's one of our better offensive players in terms of a guy who can play with good players and make skilled plays to them. So. But yet he's responsible defensively. So far I've liked it. I think a lot of that responsibility also goes to Verana and Zadina and playing, real good, solid defense like they have in their own end. If they do that, then I think it can be a real good line.
Hey, Jeff, where does he need to grow or just to take his game to another level? Is it consistency or the offensive side of what does he need to do or where does he need to take it to another level?
I just think, I think consistency. I think there was a period of time which he dipped a little bit. I just think it's learning to be that every, game in and game out. And I think he's done a good job of coming back from that when he's had those dips. Certainly the more consistent you are, that's probably one of the biggest keys in this league is being able to do it night in and night out. I think other than that, his game's in a pretty good spot. He's a good player, and I think it's important sometimes instead of worrying about necessarily how you grow, worry about how you really stay and be a real continue to be a real solid player. And I think he's done a good job of that.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah.
All right, those are all the questions we have for Coach Blashill this morning. Thanks everyone for joining us.